Hi, guys. Hi, Molly. Hi, Gina. Hi, Rob. Hey, Southern Metal. Are we good? You guys can hear me? I'm pretty sure you can see me, but do you hear? Hi, Kathy. Look at everybody on time. Oh, hi, Resin. It makes me so happy. Okay, we're good? We're good to go? Thumbs up. Thumbs up, thumbs up. We're a little bit on a delay, which is kind of cool because we can fix things when they're not going well. All is good. Okay, awesome. Well, welcome. Thank you. Charlani here. So glad you guys have joined us. So my goal is less than an hour. My goal is 45 minutes. Let's see if we can do it. So the way that we're going to do this is I've got a few things here that I kind of wanted to explain because one of the best things ever is that you guys are tagging me in your planner pages or you're sending me pictures and you're asking questions and you're just showing me how you're using things, which has been so number one, eye-opening for me, and it fills my heart because I know you guys are using these things and I love that. So, one of the things that I wanted to point out was the Own Your Days, Own Your Week. This is like your scorecard, kind of like how you are analyzing how your week has gone by the things that you have deemed at the beginning of the week that would be a priority for you. Kind of like a habit tracker, honestly, is what this is. So what you're going to put here, your goals here are always going to be whatever. We're jumping right in today, by the way. And good morning. Hi, Gina. I see you. So, this is where you would put whatever it is for that week that you want to be a priority. So for me, all the water, clean eating, posting to my channels, checking in on the different platforms that I reside in. And this is kind of like my scorecard. So at the end of the week, where under the goal, the way that I use it is I put how many days of the week do I want to get these things done? Then at the end of the week, I would go down here and I would say, okay, so if let's just say it was already Sunday night and I'm looking at this and this is what I have here, my number here would be 6. My number here would be 4. My number here would be 4. My number here would be 5. My number here would be 0. Poor Kai was not a priority for walking this week. He just wasn't. So you can see what I'm saying. This is where, how many days did you actually get done? How many of those days? And then you calculate that. So what is the percentage of the number of how many days you wanted to do something, your goal number of days, and then you divide that by how many days you actually did those. And actually, it's the other way around. How many days were done, divide it by the number of days you had anticipated doing it, and then you get a percentage. Here's the thing. The way this is amazing is that even if the week after you are 1% better, you're better. That's improvement. So that's how I use this. You can definitely, if you got all your days done, and by the way, I very rarely, I can probably count on both hands over the years, how many times I have had an absolute 100% perfect week. Because as a reminder, this is not only something that I want you to create your goals and set goals that challenge you, but I also want you to set realistic goals. So it should be challenging, but you should be able to do it if you really, really were intentional. So for me to ever have a 100% week, I have to be on the ball, top of my game, 7 days a week, 24 hours a day. And chances of that happening are very slim, to be honest, because life happens, you happen, all the things. So that is how I use this part of it. So I hope that helps for anybody who had questions about really how to use this. The other thing is this, if you are watching this, so if you purchase, and I'm trying to figure out the best way, this is all real time business building things. If you were to have purchased the downloadable on my Etsy shop, you would have received sample planners. So one sample planner is a work from home lifestyle. Another is a working mom lifestyle. We've got entrepreneur in the hustle season lifestyle. We've got a busy mom lifestyle when you've got carpool and you stay at home. But if you're a stay-at-home mom, you know you are probably busier than you've ever been in your whole entire life. So you got the downloadable for this. If you purchase the notepads, I didn't think about how to get these to you. Email me. Just shoot me an email and I will send you the examples, the samples, so that you can maybe get ideas of how to do that. So it's charlani.livelifehappy@gmail.com. charlani.livelifehappy@gmail.com. Just shoot me an email and say, hey, I purchased your notepads on your website. I need the samples. And then just send that to me, send that email to me, and I'll show you, or I'll send to you the PDFs for the samples, because I think they are really, really helpful when you can get ideas of how all of this can fit into your life. I hope, does that make sense? Does that make sense? Okay, let's see. Have a safe flight, Gina. When you get going, have a safe flight for sure. Okay. Yeah, thank you, Resin, for putting that up there. So I wanted to show this to you here and kind of explain that part of it. So I had added an appointment here. So I didn't want to redo this whole entire thing. So I just wrote it in. Hair, got my hairs cut. Today is wash day. My hair's a lot shorter than it used to be. We're dealing with it. We're coping. We're going to talk a lot about coping today. And then this day was location filming that I had canceled. I added it back in because I did go to Magnolia. I went to Waco on Thursday. I just needed to get out of the house and really wanted to go and was super bummed that I had pushed it back again. So I went. So things during the week get moved around, and for me that's okay, because the chapter in life that I'm at, what I do for a living, I can do that. I'm able to do that, and it's not, breaking the bank or anything like that. So we're good to go on that front. Now, I did make myself a note because we are going to switch some things up on my schedule. Today we're also, after we do our 15-minute, maybe 10-minute planning session. I think we're going to go 15. Last week we did 10, and I feel like I needed those extra few minutes to really get it down. So I think we're going to do 15 minutes today of the planning. So we'll pop on some music. We'll go ahead and plan, and then we'll come back and we'll talk about it. And today's topic is protecting your energy and figuring out, when is the sweet spot in your day? When are you most creative? And when you figure that out, you have to figure out and decide and choose what you want to give that time to. And maybe you have to choose and figure out who you're spending that time with, or what you're doing with that time that maybe you should be doing something different. We're going to talk about all of that after. But this week, I want to switch some things up. And what's kind of cool is that you guys really are seeing in real time me reinventing my schedule, restructuring everything, me figuring out this whole new landscape of all the things I need to do, the places I need to be, the social media content I need to create, how I need to show up, where I need to show up, when I need to show up there. You guys over these last few weeks have absolutely seen that process happen. And I'm still tweaking it up. But I can tell you that once I get it, like once I get my schedule to where like this is clicking, it's working, I'm using my energy in the right places, I am using my creative time for creative activities. Those, when I get it down, it's likely going to be something that sticks for a very long time. We're entering into kind of a different chapter, so I need to figure out what schedule and what routine is going to work for me best. So, and that's one of the things that you have to decide too. Are you going to be fluid with it and flexible, or do you like structure and routine? Those are things that you have to figure out within your life, because my schedule might not, probably won't work with whatever your schedule is and what your lifestyle is, which is also why I love this structure, this process, because it works for everybody. It works for every single lifestyle out there. No matter where you're at, no matter what season of life you're in, this works, but you have to figure it out. And sometimes that takes time, and a lot of times people don't have the discipline to be disciplined enough to figure this out. But you're not going to be that person. You're going to figure it out. Because once you do, it's so easy and it's so simple, and it gets easier every single week, especially when you figure things out. So this was my last week's schedule, and over the last several weeks, I've been doing the same thing. Happy hour, I work out, go to the post office, walk Kai and get ready, and then I do my power hour. This is kind of where I was living over these last few weeks every single morning. My creative time is morning time. So I know that that is the time that I need to focus on what I can be most creative with. We're going to talk about all of that too, but I make myself notes. So I have this sticky note, and I just had it off to the side of things that I want to focus on this week. We're going to try something different. We're going to try working out in the evenings where I can lift weights and lift heavier weights than I would in the morning, because my morning body is not the same body as my afternoon body when I've been up and walking around and moved a little bit. It's a completely different body, way less aches and pains later in the day. So I'm going to be able to lift heavier weights. This is not something that is set in stone yet. We're going to see how this feels and how this works for me. Hi, Melissa. Good to see you. Hi, Jeanette. Good to see you too. Hi, Jimmy. Hello. Okay. So these are some things that I want to add into. I want blocks of times for making my grid posts, my reels, my blogs. I also need time to work on my newsletters, my email list emails. Still working on downloadables and figuring out how to get them into my website, we're near the tail end of all the things because it's been a busy week for sure. So let's go ahead and I would like to do 15 minutes today. That'll bring us to 11:30, and then we'll talk the topic right after. So let's go ahead. I've got my handy dandy little situation here. We're going to go 15 minutes. All right. Let's turn on some music. I'm going to start it kind of a little bit further so we hear different music today. You guys let me know if it's too loud or it's not working right. I'm scooting it up a little bit. We're going to skip some songs. Wait. Nope. We're not going to do that. That wasn't right. And I don't know how to fix it. So let's plan. Taking my calendar first. I'm going to see what I have on the agenda for this upcoming week. Happy new month, too. that's fun. Oh, look at that. Somebody has a birthday this week. New month on a Monday? Epic.
Jumping from cliffs so high, trusting our wings to fly. Sometimes we're crashing down, but we get up and start from the ground. And
Okay.
I really wanna know.
All right.
Let's figure out where the road goes. Even if I'm falling down, I will keep on searching for my highs. You can say I lost my mind, I will keep on holding my head high. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, the sky is falling down. Even if the sky is falling down, even if the sky is falling down, the sky is falling down. You said that you needed me, like a power, you will carry me. I just hope you know my depth, even though it makes no sense.
Rob's birthday is on Friday. Napping, looking at pennies, cooking dinner, and eating. Maybe a second nap. Love that. And then second breakfast, Jimmy? Second lunch? Dinner and supper? Have a happy rest day. All right. So I'm going in and I'm just adding in the things that I know are happening. And I'm going to assume we're doing this. That's obviously up to Rob. It's his birthday. I don't know if he's streaming on that day. Guess you could let us know. All right. These are the things that I have on the agenda that have been planned. That's what I use my calendar for. Birthdays, appointments, things like that. Add it in first, and now I can go in and plug in my schedule. I'm good with getting up at the same time. My happy hour. And this is right here. I'm scheduling a new routine, a new schedule. So we'll see how this feels for me. And if it doesn't work, I can always, tweak it up. And I do believe that when you are scheduling your week and switching things up, see what feels right. But also, if you know something immediately is like, this is not going to work for me, switch it. Change it immediately. You don't have to wait until the next week. But if something you're unsure about and it's just uncomfortable, give it the week and then decide. Give it the week and then decide. Because when you have time like this to sit and plan your week, you actually can see it more clearly of what you can allot time to, what you can prioritize, what you should prioritize, rather than making those decisions on the fly in the moment. That's why scheduling is so important. I'm gonna go. I think we can do workout. Wait, no. On stream days, I'm gonna work out in the morning. No, that doesn't work. Have to be at 8. So wait. I'm gonna switch this. I'm gonna do this way I can work out with my girls twice a week if I'm switching things up. And then power hour. Content post. Content. Okay, so I can move that. So on Rob's stream nights, I'll work out with the girls earlier in the morning and I'll do the bike or something like that, which is actually works better because then I can strength train at night on the other days. See? Had it not been written down, I wouldn't have been able to see and visualize how that was going to work out. So that's perfect. Okay. Video is going out on Thursday, which means I need editing time. Which that is about the same. I keep that day, it looks kind of similar to what it's always been. And then, so this is gonna have to be my creative time. Creative time. Okay, editing does that. That goes on Thursday, and then Thursdays. And so I'm going to do power blocks in this time. Power blocks. All right. Thursdays, we film. All right, workout, power hour, content post. White space. Okay, I am excited. I think this is a really good start for my week. All right, so now I am moving into the bottom half of my days, which I'm taking last week. And if you saw me going back and forth, like looking like this, it's because I have this sitting right next to me because I'm referencing what I did last week, kind of looking at what worked, what didn't work, and transferring those days on here. But then you saw that I was switching things up at the same time. But I'm still working on these same tasks down at the bottom. So all I'm doing is simply copying what I had from last week, these right here, and I'm just going to copy it right down below. How's everybody doing? Hi, APV Coins. Hello. Yes, I got a really pretty. So Resin, her portfolio. This is mine. This is what I use. But she got one that was purple, which was really cool. And stay tuned. I have visions of what I want to do. Oh, did that mess you guys up too much? No, we're good. I have visions of a padfolio, but in time, one thing at a time. So I broke my camera thing that's holding you guys up on that right there. So I have to be really careful and not hit it because it's broken and it's like hanging. Rob, we're going to have to fix that later. Okay. 2 minutes. Let's go. I did terribly walking Kai, so this week I need to make it a priority.
The stars come to shine when it's dark from so far away. Show us where we are. What makes the sun go to sleep every night, and what's it dreaming of? I wonder. How come the sky sometimes hides behind the clouds? Maybe it's just like me, a little bit scared of heights. Why does the rain always keep on pouring down when it's gray outside?
All right.
Really makes me wonder.
That was 15 minutes. Oh, I'm almost done. Okay, I'm very excited about the new schedule. So give me a second. Okay, did you guys plan? Did you get your week situated? You excited about it? I'm very excited about it. So new schedule a little bit. What I've done is I just have a creative block of time and I want to do power blocks. And I'll decide on the day Do I want to make grid posts? Do I want to do reels? Do I want to write blogs? We're going to kind of play that part by ear. And that is the freedom of being an entrepreneur and deciding what I want to do on that day. What am I most creative with? And it's the same thing here, newsletter, email list, downloadables. What am I feeling creative with on those days? So I have blocks of time to be creative. I've also given myself on Friday afternoons white space because I need that. I need to have a place where maybe I'm feeling creative that day and I want to be able to have that there. And then I've got everything. So my learning, if you're wondering what that is where I research things. I'm also in Marie Forleo's B School, so I can get some of my lessons done in the modules then. I have time for that. I will allot an hour, but if I want to go longer, I can because I've got white space after. So what I want to talk about now, does anyone have any questions? Anything? Yeah, I broke something. Help. I did. And I don't know that it's fixable. It's barely hanging on. Like if I were to nudge this thing, it would fall right off. Okay, looks like we're all good to go. Oh, I see the rolly eyes, Rob. I know. It's ridiculous. Anyhow, you might be able to fix it. You can decide that later. Okay, so let's talk about it. I want to talk about your energy, your schedule. What is it that you are spending your best time to? So you have to think about how it is that you are using your time. And are you the kind of person who is flexible and you have a fluid schedule? Or are you somebody who wants structure and routine? I am a little bit of both. I like to have a little bit of flexibility, but I also crave structure and routine. Structure and routine makes life easier for me because I am able to not have to remember everything because things become habit. So for me, structure earlier in the day and flexibility in the afternoons is absolutely what I thrive on and what is easiest for me. So what's funny is that when you change courses in life, like when I ended my medical billing company, I closed those doors down. I found that I ended up with a whole lot of time on my hands. The same thing happened when my son started driving and I no longer had to drive him to hockey practice. I had hours in my day and it was almost like it was too much free time. I am the kind of person who I need that structure to stay productive, or I'll procrastinate. I'll put it off. For me, the busier I am, the more I get done because I don't procrastinate. I don't have time to procrastinate. So whenever I am in a situation where things have changed and my job description kind of has changed, when things change schedule-wise, it takes me a minute. When anything changes, routine, structure, any of it, it takes me a minute to kind of get my bearings. But once I do, I'm golden. I'm good to go and I can thrive in whatever that situation is. But I first have to create a schedule that works for me and a routine that works for me. And I finally, over the last several weeks, I really figured this one thing out because I was thinking, I have always been a busy person. I have always been somebody who is either doing stuff with the kids or the kids' school, building my own business, helping Rob build his business, and doing things that kept me busy. But after I didn't have medical billing anymore and I didn't have that morning structure of get my morning happy hour done, and then I get into my office and I enter my super bills, I enter my payments, I go through and I call the people that need to be called, insurance companies, patients. I had just absolute complete structure. When I closed that chapter, I flailed, and I flailed big time. Like, I didn't have that morning structure. So what did I do? We stayed up late. I slept in all the time. And I truly just recently figured out over these last few months, and don't get me wrong, I love sleeping in. It is one of the best things in life, right? Especially on those cool, cold, rainy days when it's like, oh my gosh, this feels so good. It was something that I definitely enjoyed a whole lot. But here's what I know for a fact. I strive for madness and chaos. I do too. I love being busy. I love going from here to there and having a bazillion errands and a bazillion things to do. I thrive on that. But here's what I know for a fact. I am the most creative in the morning. It's when I write the best content. It's when my head is most clear. It's when I can stay the most focused. For me, it's earlier in the day. By 2 o'clock, creativity is gone. Like, I don't have it anymore. But that is when I will then go back, and that's when I can do filming stuff. But if I have to be sitting at my desk, focused on writing and reading, has to be done earlier in the morning. When I was sleeping in until 10, 11 sometimes, that's half my creativity time. So what I was doing was I was killing half that creative time that I could have been spending, but I was sleeping instead. And it doesn't work for me. I don't know if it's that. I think it's called a circadian rhythm. I could be wrong about that, but when you're like plugged into the earth, I think it's called a circadian rhythm. My body knows when it's 11, 12, 1, right? It feels different. I feel different at 7, 8 o'clock in the morning. It feels different to me. So for those 2 years that I was sleeping in away my best time, my best creative time. So now that I've recognized that, I've changed that back to getting up a little bit earlier and setting my alarms. I've been starting at 7 o'clock. I'm hoping to get that back down to 6 o'clock eventually. But it's a little bit at a time, because it's not just I can go from 11 o'clock to 5 o'clock in the morning. That is not going to happen. That is painful. It's a shock to your system. If you can, don't do that to yourself. Let yourself creep back a little bit if you're somebody who wants to wake up earlier. On the other hand, my husband is the complete opposite. He gets the most done later at night, later in the evenings, and he can sleep in a little bit later because that's not his creative time. He thrives later in the afternoon and into the evening and late into the night too. Like, you have to figure out what works for you, and it shouldn't be what somebody else says or what somebody else does. I absolutely think you should try new things, but you will innately know what feels good to you. And if you also know that you are most creative, most functional earlier in the morning, but you like sleeping in too much, you got to get uncomfortable a little bit, and you got to get up earlier, and you got to get the work done. Because here's also a truth. And I know you know this if you are a snoozer. Getting up at 7 a.m. is just as painful as getting up at 8. And if you hit that snooze button every 9 minutes for a full hour, you will wake up more tired at 8 o'clock. That is a fact. That is actually a study that is done, that you are more tired the more times you snooze. So don't snooze. Don't snooze. I am structured, disciplined, and stubborn, a creature of habit, not a fan of last-minute monkey wrenches. Yeah, and sometimes those curveballs come, right? Quick, fast, and you got to dodge them. But yeah, I like the structure and I like the discipline too. So now I am very fiercely protective of my mornings, my morning routines, my rituals, my morning happy hour, if you will. I have to set the intention, the focus for my day, what I'm going to do. And I have to put my head down early in the day to make sure that I take full advantage of all the things that I can be capable of doing. But I got to start early. So my morning energy needs to be protected. It's the best part of my day. I'm also an empath, meaning I feel very hard. So if I'm around somebody who's upset or sad, I'm upset and sad. If somebody's happy, positive, I'm happy and positive. So I thrive and I crave to be around people who are positive, happy, because I feel that energy all the time. It's wherever I go, if I see somebody sad or crying, it immediately makes me want to cry. So you've got to figure out and decide if you're giving your best time, your creative time, your peaceful time to negative situations. You have 3 options. I didn't come up with this. This is something that I heard from someone else who heard it from someone else. And they shared this bit of wisdom that I have lived by. And I just feel like, oh my gosh, this works for all the things. Control what you can, cope with what you can't, and concentrate on what counts. So control what you can. Can you take yourself out of that situation? Can you get up a little bit earlier? Maybe stay up a little bit later if that works for you. But control the things that you can control. Cope with what you can't control, right? If you can't control it, you got to figure out a way to cope with it. So if you have littles that have tantrums, can you control that? Likely not, right? So what do you do if you need that morning time? You get up before them. You get up before their little feet hit the ground so that you can structure your day, get your mindset right, be in a positive, happy mental mindset space before they get up and start demanding your time. So figure out how you can cope with the things that you cannot control. And then concentrate on what counts. Focus and be intentional. For me, when I need to concentrate on something, but I'm pulled in a different direction or my thoughts are in a different place or I hear something going on, I have to concentrate really hard on what I'm doing to try and keep that happy, positive bubble, even though I know negative things are going on. The way that I do it is either by music or background noise. I love the sound of rain. So I put on, like, you can go into the YouTube ambiance and put rain ambiance or something like that. Merv is one of my absolute favorite channels to just have on as background noise. I don't do jazz. I love rain. We had looked at property in Washington and Oregon, and so many people were like, oh, it rains there all the time. And I'm like, I feel like I would be most creative at that time. Like, I feel like that would just be the absolute dream for me. And then we go on vacation, right? You go on vacation for the sun and the sand and all those things. But I feel like I would be able to thrive in that environment for sure. Now, I know that you cannot control all situations. When I started my medical billing, my son, I think, was 2 or 3 at that point. And I was looking for my first doctors. I was going door to door. I was cold calling. I was mailing out flyers. That is a story for another time. But I had to do these things, but I also had a toddler. And you can't go into a doctor's office to hand them your flyers with a toddler. You just can't do that. You can't cold call and have a kid screaming in the background. Like, that's not professional at all. So my solution for that was to take him to preschool just for 3 hours a day, because that is bare minimum what we could afford, so that I could go physically to these doctors' offices within our cities. In the morning time, I would have a list of places I needed to go, and I would plot it out. And then once I dropped him off, I would, just for those 3 hours, in the afternoons, a couple days a week, that is when I would go and I had to make the best of it. Afternoons have never been my most creative time unless I started earlier in the morning. So it was hard to be on my game later in the afternoon, but it didn't matter. That was the time I had, and I needed to stay focused and do absolutely as much as I could in that time. So you just got to figure out how to cope with what it is that your situation is, and everyone's situation is different. So again, control what you can, cope with what you can, and concentrate most on what counts. And when I talk to women who say to me, granted, I need to tell my story better, and I'm working on it. But when people say, you don't understand my situation, you stay at home, you work from home, you don't have little kids. But listen, I literally have been all of those things. I have been a working mom, 9 to 5, kids at daycare, stay-at-home mom. That wasn't for me. I needed to feel more like I had more purpose than just watching my kids at home, which is a great thing. And a lot of women love that and crave that and strive to do that. That was not me. I started a new business and I grew that business with little kids. I was a dance mom, a cheer mom, a hockey mom, a football mom. The only thing I wasn't was a soccer mom. My kids never played soccer. But because of my need for control and organization, I was also team manager for a lot of different things, PTAs, everything. I did the most and my schedule was full every day. So I actually didn't have a choice to not be organized. I needed to prioritize my time, and that is enter in planners, all of these things too. So I didn't have a choice whether or not I wanted to be organized. I needed to be organized. My control then was taking what I could off my schedule. My coping was figuring out how to make it work, asking for help when I needed it, because when you plot it out like this, you can see where you have those conflicting appointments or conflicting parts of your schedule, and you can ask for help. And then I concentrated on the most important things. Those are things that I determined what were priorities in my life at that time. But this chapter, honestly, over these last few years, has 1,000% been the hardest for me, because someone like me, so I don't think these are toxic traits, but that's kind of like the terminology that's going around now. Like, what are your toxic traits? Mine is number 1, that I can do it all. Number 2 is that I want to do it all. And number 3 is that I squirrel everywhere, and I'll start things and move over to this and do this, and then in the mid have a thought and I should go look at this. Like, I really do. I am all over the place. And listen, I've not been officially diagnosed with ADD or ADHD. I've taken lots of tests. Very highly likely ADHD is always the result of them, but I've yet to have my brain scan, all of those things. But honestly, it's kind of like, why? I don't think it's necessary for me, because I have figured out ways to cope with my squirreling and my being all over the place and being that hyperactive brain that goes from here to there. If you do have ADHD, or if you are somebody who feels scatterbrained and squirrely like me, this book has been awesome. And a lot of the things that I do in here, I'm like, I do that. Yes, I do that. And I do that. That is my solution for that. So it's been a little bit like just investigating these things and kind of learning how I think and why I think that way, and then giving tools on how to deal with things like that. It's been very eye-opening for me, for sure, but also kind of like affirmation or confirmation, I should say, that what I'm doing is right, because structure is everything for somebody like me. Routine is everything for somebody like me. So I've learned to identify problems and then find the solution. I'm always late to things. Set alarms. If you're the kind of person who's like, I've tried planning. I've tried this before. It doesn't work for me. I never look at it. That's the biggest thing I hear. I never look at it. Like I forget to look at it. Well, create the habit. Make it routine. You have to be intentional and be focused about it in the beginning. So don't say to yourself, I'm not a planner. I'm not organized. I'm a hot mess. I'm all over the place. I'm unorganized. No, you're not. Stop telling yourself that. You just have to make it a priority and be intentional about it until it becomes habit and routine. And it can become habit and routine if you stick with it. If you keep trying and don't give up about it. Another thing I heard, and I did not write this down, so I hope I don't screw it up. I'm going to screw it up. Hold on. I got to get it right. And I have it written down somewhere. Okay, no, we're going to wing it, and I'm going to screw it up, but that's okay. You'll get the gist of it. No, I'm not going to. I'm sorry. I don't want to mess it up. So hold. Don't forget to leave a like before you finish. Okay, yeah, thank you. We crave to use our creativity and strengths, for sure. I hear that a lot. Someone try to discount what I do because they have it harder. Okay. So let's go to this for a second because resin, yes, 100%. This is something I often hear, but it's also something I know a lot of other women hear, especially women who don't have kids. Here's the thing. Struggle is struggle. Stress is stress. A stay-at-home mom stress is no different than businesswomen stress. But your stress is always going to feel worse to you. Nobody understands. They don't have my situation. They don't live in my shoes. They don't have my kids, my spouse. They don't live my life. But on the flip side, you don't live in their shoes either. So if you're someone who thinks that your life is worse than everybody else's, and if you're here, this probably isn't you. You're probably the one that you feel that people are like, oh, you just don't understand me. And you're like, what are you talking about? I have things going on, right? So never wish to live someone else's life. You got to cope with yours and figure out how to make it work. And you never, ever, I hate it when people say to other people, you just don't understand because you're not me. You don't know because you don't struggle the way I do. Stress is stress. Anxious is anxious. Overwhelm is overwhelm. There is no difference. It's doing the same thing to your body, to your mind. A mom who's in Target with tantruming kids is stressed. The woman who has a looming deadline for work and her computer crashes has stress. It's the same stress, but it's different, right? The situation is different. Stress is stress in every situation, and I wish everybody would understand that. Everybody would understand that because just like what you said, Resin, right? That other people have it harder. That isn't true. That isn't true. Everybody has it hard because life can be hard. But if you can figure out how to cope with the things that are on your plate within your life, it's going to be a lot easier for sure. But yeah, stress is stress. And it is the most annoying thing when people are like, oh, you just don't understand because your kids have grown. You don't have to deal with that. I'm like, do you think that I didn't go through that? Do you think that I don't understand how it feels to have toddlers? Newborns? We know what that feels like. We might not live that chapter right now because we have lived through that, but we still feel it too. So yeah, absolutely, Resin. And a lot of the times too, I think people really just, they want to be heard and they want to be acknowledged that their life is hard. And I'll hand it to those stay-at-home moms who have kids, because like I said, I love my kids. I missed my kids when I worked and they were at daycare. But there was a piece of me that felt like was dying a little bit being just a stay-at-home mom. I needed to find purpose and to have a vision for the future where I was contributing somehow, and it wasn't just taking care of my kids. And I do know that there are a lot of people who think differently and feel differently about that. There's a lot of people out there who love being pregnant. I was not that person either. Yes, always do your best, and most of all, be kind. Yes, 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 yes. I love that. And I'm glad you mentioned it, because that has been something on my heart too, because I actually know somebody who is going through that. She does not have kids, and we have another friend who has littles, and she always says, "You just don't understand my situation because you don't have kids." I'm like, yeah, but she has stress in other areas of life that you don't have. It's a thing right now, but that's okay. All right. Look at that. 11:57. We didn't hit the 45-minute mark, but we definitely hit the 1 hour mark. So I'm very proud about that. I'm going to try really hard to keep our live streams to 1 hour, because I know Saturdays a lot of the times are family days. And even if you watch the replay, it's going to be over a weekend, and I want you to spend time with your family for sure. So thank you so much for popping in. I appreciate you guys very, very much. And again, if you ever have questions about something, please just let me know. And if you are somebody who has purchased these notepads and you did not get the downloadable version of these sheets, which are on the Etsy site, by the way, if you want one. But if you did get the notepads and you want the examples of different schedules and maybe some ideas of what you can use, kind of like a starting point, a starting place, then just email me and I'll make sure I get that to you. Thank you, Nick, so much. And I hope you have an amazing weekend too. Thank you so much, and I hope you guys have the best weekend ever. We will see you next week. So we will not be streaming on the Saturday before Mother's Day. So we will stream every other Saturday in the month of May, except for that weekend. So you'll have a break, but we will see you next Saturday for sure. All right, guys. Hi, John. Thanks for popping in too. Have a great weekend. We'll see you later. Bye, guys.